Hey, it is Kenny from Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. Please like and subscribe. I sincerely appreciate that. In this video, I'm going to explain why a certain album is the second best album ever made, in my opinion. Now, these things are subjective. We all have our personal opinions, and I say this in a lot of these type of videos. We all have our personal opinions in terms of what good music sounds like to us, and we like different genres, different types of music, different styles of music, different music from different eras. And we all, like I said, we all have our opinions in terms of what great music could sound like. So this is something that just is personal to me, and this is just my personal opinion. And you can leave your comments in the comment section below. But in terms of the music that I love and enjoy, the music that I like, I sincerely think this is the second best album ever made. And you may ask, well, Kenny, why aren't you talking about the first or the best album that you think that was ever made? Well, I'll probably get to that in a future video down the road, but I thought I'd mention the second because the second can easily be the best album ever made if some changes were made. Now, I will mention those changes, those alterations to the album that would have made it the best album ever made. Matter of fact, it would have been the best album ever made, in my opinion, and it wouldn't have been close. Nothing. If the changes I'm suggesting were made to this album, this would be my #1 album, and nothing else can come close to touching it. And I'm gonna get to those changes near the end of this video. But like I said, we all have to keep in mind that these opinions are subjective. We don't take them too seriously, but this is just my opinion in terms of my point of view in the music I vibe and groove to. And I did a top 10 album list, and this is second on that list. And I'm getting to some details on the album. But that album is Stevie Wonder's 1976 smash hit, Songs in the Key of Life. This wonderful, fabulous album by brother Stevie Wonder. I think it came on the Tamla subsidiary label of Motown in 1976. This came out somewhere when I was in the 10th grade or something like that. That's when this album came out. I think I can remember that almost as if it were yesterday. But this album by Stevie Wonder was part of, I think, his golden period, which he had this period of back-to-back albums that were just masterpieces. He had, The Music of My Mind, A Talking Book, Intervisions, and Fulfilling This First Finale. I think there was a period of, 3 out of 4 years or something like that where he won Album of the Year at the Grammys. He had this incredible run, this very just legendary run at the Grammys. I think this album was on #1 on the Billboard Top 200 charts for something like 13 weeks or something like that. It was just a tremendous album. This is a 2-album set, and this album had many stars featured on the album, like for example, Bobby Humphrey was on the album on flute. Amazing Bobby Humphrey, amazing flute player. Minnie Riperton, the late great Minnie Riperton, on backup vocals. Shows how great this album was. George Benson on guitar. I think he was on backup vocals as well. I might do a review of this album because I love this album, one of my favorite 80s albums. But he was on guitar on this album, George Benson. We had Herbie Hancock was on keyboards. I mean, my goodness, Herbie Hancock on keyboards along with Stevie Wonder. And the beautiful flute of Dorothy Ashby. I mean, you had, and I'm leaving out a lot of stars who were guests on this amazing album, this amazing masterpiece of an album. Just the overall theme and vibe and groove of this soulful album, this album of lyrical beauty by Stevie Wonder. I mean, it captivated me, and I was probably 15, 16 when it came out. At that time, I knew it was a work of art. It was just, I remember taping the songs off the radio at that time when I was in high school and listening to this song on the radio. And you could tell then it was just way ahead of its time in terms of song, in terms of beauty, in terms of lyrics, in terms of composition. It was a masterpiece. I think his previous album, Fulfilling His First Finale, came out in 1974. This album came out in 1976. So we had plenty of time to work on this 2-album masterpiece, and that's literally what it is. It won Album of the Year at the Grammys. Just incredible piece of music. But there are several albums on this songs on this album that are in themselves masterpiece, like the song Ordinary Pain, F is Magic. That has a beautiful solo of, I think that's the one with the solo of Dorothy Ashby on it. And that solo, that harp solo is just beautiful, along with the lyrics accompanying that, or the solo, the harp solo accompanying the lyrics. It's just a piece of, it's musical art at its zenith, literally. If It's Magic by Stevie Wonder, accompanied by Dorothy Ashby. And the song Another Star just has this, the tempo, the up tempo of the song, and just the it's just an overall vibe and groove of the song that catches you, and just it sucks you in, and there's no way you can't like Another Star. And another song is Sir Duke, a tribute to Brother Duke Ellington. I mean, that song, Duke Ellington, that song introduced a lot of kids who were listening to that song, whether you were in LA, South Central LA, New York, Chicago, wherever, Germany, wherever you lived. That probably introduced a young artist to this fabulous artist right here, who otherwise would not have heard of Duke Ellington. The song Sir Duke, and Stevie Wonder was mindful and insightful enough to make a song in tribute to Duke Ellington on a 1976 album that was really catered to young kids and young adults, and you got to give him his props for that. Also, the song As is another beautiful song, and Isn't She Lovely is just again another beautiful, fantabulous, and extravagant work of musical art. Isn't It Lovely is one of the better songs I've ever heard, and it is on this 1976 masterpiece by Stevie Wonder. Isn't She Lovely? I'm sorry. The name of the song is Isn't She Lovely? Correction, Isn't She Lovely? And it's just a beautiful song. Isn't She Lovely? For the younger audience who have not heard this album, I'll leave the link to the album that can be heard on YouTube in the the description below. But this is just a beautiful work of a musical and audio art, and it simply does not get the attention in this reissue era that we live in, at least a high-end reissue era where you have these 45 RPM records, and these records issued on specialty vinyl, clarity vinyl. I wish they would do this album. Now granted, this is a 2-album set, so we'll take, if you do this as a 45 RPM set, this would take 4 albums. I don't care, I'd buy it. This doesn't get the props it deserves in this reissue era, in my opinion, at least in terms of a high-end reissue record. This is a musical masterpiece, in my opinion, and that's why it's number 2 on my top 10. Now, what prevented this becoming number one. Now, number one was Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album in my list, my top 10 list. Now, this album would have been number one, and here's the reason why it's not number one. A lot of times when pop, rock, and R&B artists do a 2-album set, I think they overdo it. And a lot of the songs it's hard to keep that quality, that high quality of musicality over a 2-album set when you're a pop artist, a rock, well, maybe not so a rock artist, but an R&B artist or a pop artist. You can do it with jazz because, in classical music, because of the compositions are longer, and that leaves more space for the musicians to improvise, and that's not needed on these pop R&B albums. Whereas, like I said, jazz and classical, you need more space for the music to expand and grow and be adventurous. Jazz is like that. To a lesser degree, classical is like that. But I think if you were to take the best songs from this album that I mentioned, which are Ordinary Pain, If It's Magic, Another Star, Sir Duke, Knocking Me Off My Feet is another song I should have mentioned. That has Knocking Me Off My Feet is almost an extension of the songs on fulfilling this first finale in Intervisions and Talking Book. It's almost an extension of those albums because it has the same vibe and groove and style as the songs on that album. It's same as a song called As. But like I said, if you were to take Ordinary Pain, If It's Magic, Another Star, Sir Duke, Knock Me Off My Feet, As, Summer Soft, and Isn't She Lovely, and made that into a 1-album set, this will be the greatest album of all time. And in my personal opinion, it wouldn't even be close. No other album would touch this one if you just included those songs. I think Brother Wonder just got adventurous and it tried to stretch out the music. And sometimes when artists do that, they dilute works of art like this to my degree. But if you would just include those songs, like I said, this would be the greatest album ever made. So that is why it's not number one, because when you include some of these songs, they're not as great as some of the great songs that are on the album. It dilutes the quality album and it comes a little bit lesser than. So this is number 2 on my all-time top 10 list. Like I said, I did a video on my top 10 list, albums list of all time. I'll put that link to that video in the comment in the description below. But those are some of the reasons why this is number 2 on my list, and some of the reasons why it's not number 1 on my list. Please leave your comments in the comment section below about this masterpiece. And if you have your number 2, your number 1, please leave that in the comment section below. Like I said, these things are subjective. You know, we all have different styles of music that we enjoy and vibe and groove to. Some of you out there might like heavy metal. Some may like more harder rock or jazz or classical. So it depends on what music you you enjoy. But this is part of the music of my life and part of the music that I enjoy. So this album, Songs in the Key of Life, 1976, by Stevie Wonder, is number 2 on my list. And like I said, the second best album I've heard in my life, behind Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. It's been cool doing this video. Thank you very much for viewing. Please like and subscribe. That'll help me out. Please do that. God bless, strong love, and keep the peace worldwide.